Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of my Hal Leonard Guitar Tab Method beginner course. We're going through the Hal Leonard Guitar Tab Method book, page by page, detail by detail, to give you your guitar fundamentals. Please click through to the previous videos if you haven't seen them already and you're starting from scratch. If you're just picking up for the first time, welcome to all my new viewers. Today we're going to look at the A string, which is page 5 in the book. And you're going to notice that the method to this book is fairly repetitive. We're going to see the same kind of examples for each string as we go, but we're adding a little bit more complexity on the notation and the technique every time. So, the A string, they show us the tab of the first 5 notes on the A string, and they give us their note names. So, we have A sharp or B flat in the first fret. We have the second fret is B, third fret is C. Fourth fret is another black key on the piano, C sharp or D flat, and then we have D on the 5th fret. As we saw with the E string, starting at E and just continuing right on to F, F sharp and G, and so on like that, our A string does the same thing. The musical alphabet keeps on repeating in order as we move along the string. This one just happens to start at A. It's important though, as musicians, don't think of A as like the first note. There's no true first note to the alphabet in music. There's just 12 equally weighted tones that we can use, and we happen to have come to this sort of clunky naming system where we have 7 regular letters and then 5 modified letters. However, once you learn those 12 letters of that alphabet, you can discuss the music with every other musician on the planet, and everybody knows what everyone is talking about. So, our segment of the musical alphabet here starts on A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, and D. We've covered almost the whole alphabet. There's a D sharp on the next fret, and then we would be on to E, and we know those notes from E's from last video. So, we've covered all the note names. Now, as I said before, you don't need to know too much more about those note names right now, but I am always going to call those notes by their names because we want to get used to calling the sounds by their names. Part of what we do when we play guitar is we're building up a muscle memory, or a series of muscle memories, and memory devices about how to explain the guitar to ourselves, how to understand the fretboard and the abstract concept of music. So don't shy away from knowing the note names. It's very, very useful, even if it's just to talk to other musicians about it. Moving along, here's our last 2 examples before we get to rhythm tab. They've shown us some riffs on the A string here. Now this one, I hope you can pick this one. They've called it Brit rock, but that is very obviously Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones. Classic guitar riff, one of the first guitar riffs to intentionally use distortion on the riff. The real recording is actually begins on a B note. We could achieve that just by moving everything from this example in the book up by 2 frets. Move the 0 up to the 2, move the 2 up to the 4, move the 3 up to the 5. Anything you can play on one string on the guitar, you can just move everything by the same amount and the melody will work at your new location. This is very broadly known as changing key, but we'll worry about that far in the future. For now, we just have a sound-alike version of Brit rock. I'm guessing that they didn't want to pay the Rolling Stones copyright fees or something along those lines, because they've just credited it to the Hal Leonard Corporation. Next example here is Lean on Me. Once again, they're spacing out the phrases just physically on the tab. They're not showing us the rhythm, but this shows us the vocal melody to the first line in Lean on Me. The real Lean on Me was on the key of C. But I digress. We've got basically a couple catchy examples here just showing us, yeah, you can play these notes on the A string. The book isn't so much about you got to learn these 100 riffs and you'll understand guitar. The book is just using, a handful of song examples that each illustrate a concept of technique or a concept of understanding our guitar. So don't fret, pun intended, over the choice of songs here. If some of these aren't your favorite jams, or if you feel like your favorite style or artist is underrepresented here, you can still go look up their songs. Don't feel like the book is telling you what you have to like. It's just showing you some popular examples of exactly what you want to know. So moving on, here's maybe the most important thing in the whole first half of the book: rhythm tab. Rhythm tab adds rhythmic values to the basic tab staff. So it explains the length of our notes. It explains how much time each note takes up within the bar, and it helps us organize the music, especially when we're talking about playing with a drummer. Bar lines divide the music into measures. So these double lines here kind of indicate like the start of a section, but they're still considered a bar line. Here's a simple basic bar line, just separating music every 4 beats. A time signature tells how many beats are in each measure and what kind of note is counted as 1 beat. So in a time signature, the top number tells you how many beats, 4, and the bottom number tells you what kind of beats, in this case, quarter notes. Each beat is worth 1/4 of the entire length of the measure, divided into 4 equal parts. We call it 4/4, is how it's commonly pronounced. There are vertical stems drawn off of our notes here, and this is the symbol for a quarter note, just a simple vertical line coming off the note as indicated on the music. Let's play Feel the Beat. It says to count 1, 2, 3, 4 as you play this. When we play quarter notes, every single note should be as long as every other note you play. In this song especially, because it's a steady dance beat. There's no swing or shuffle. We're just playing a rock steady 4 beats to the bar. The beat doesn't care if I have to get a finger somewhere and push down my note. It doesn't care if the song is easy or hard to play. The beat just needs to be played. For that reason, it's important that you let your picking hand do the counting. If you wait for your fretting hand to get there just perfect, then all you're going to do is train yourself to play way out of time with no sense of beat, because we're too worried about the detail of our fretting hand. We want that pick hand to make the music happen, and then our fret hand will learn to catch up. It has to work this way, or else you'll never feel like you're playing along to the music. You'll always feel like you're chasing after the music. So let that picking hand do the counting. Let it do the work. Speaking of work, the next song, Working Man. This classic riff by the band Rush uses quarter notes on both the E and the A strings in a nice simple pattern. 2 notes on the big string, 2 notes on the A string. We got E, E, D, A, E, E, C, D. Cool thing about this song is that this is about the tempo of the real version of the song. And it's pretty close to the original performance too. It's a fairly simple riff. Really fun one to practice. Notice again on both these songs, the repeat signs are here. We have to make sure that we can repeat these songs and create a groove as we play them. We don't want to be ending at the end of each example and taking a pause or a break to admire our handiwork. When you see that repeat sign, it means that you're only half done. Zeppelin tribute. Now, of course, everybody should know Led Zeppelin. This song is like Dazed and Confused. It's kind of the bass line to Dazed and Confused, played on a different key and simplified just a little bit. Now, it says here, anchor the palm of your pick hand to the bridge of the guitar to help your picking accuracy. And boy, is this ever important. The corner of your hand, like where you give somebody the old karate chop, the corner of your hand should rest on the metal bridge of your guitar, or the wooden bridge of your guitar if you have an acoustic. It's not really a comfortable handle. There's no little cushion for your hand to be there. There's no hand-shaped indent, but that is where your hand goes. If your hand rests here, then not only can you control the strings by resting your hand onto them and muting them down when needed, or getting that chugging, chunky sound that we like to hear on electric guitar, but you can also accurately aim to all the strings with your pick, and you can move freely while picking, and you don't generate a lot of tension to irritate your forearm muscles, your carpal tunnel area, anything like that. It is possible, of course, to hang on down here sometimes when you're picking, but only when you're picking. If you're ever strumming while you're hanging on to your pick guard, then you have got yourself a real big problem, and you probably don't sound that great. But if you have your hand resting on the bridge, think of this as like your default home position. You can always take it off to strike a chord, to play loudly, but you can also always have your hand come back to regain control of the guitar. We don't want to have, especially on electric guitar, we don't want to have all those stray strings ringing out just because something happened on another string. If I hit this one hard enough, the other strings are still resonating. It's faint, but the other strings are still resonating just because the rest of the guitar took a hit. So the more my hand is on the strings here, the better I do at getting my notes clearly out to the listener and no excess noise to make me sound sloppy. So, Zeppelin tribute. My last note on this one is that it is also a pretty slow groove, just like Working Man. We're in the easy stages of the book, so that's good. We still want to try and let our notes have decent length. I'm holding down my note for the duration of that quarter note, not hopping too quickly because I'm too worried about getting to the next spot on my fretboard. We don't want to run ahead and win the race in music. We want to get to the finish line at the same time as every other musician that's playing. The last thing on this page here, blues riff. This one is fairly generic. You might hear this from the bass player in a blues band in most songs. Now it says here, use the third finger of your fret hand for the 4th fret, first finger for the 2nd fret, 4th finger over here for the 5th fret. This kind of hints at playing positionally, having your fingers ready to play 1, 2, 3, 4 frets in a row, wherever that might be on the guitar. A huge amount of music and riffing and guitar technique and advanced stuff down the road has to do with your 4 fingers occupying 4 frets and being able to work their way around those frets. So there's a few things in here that they've kind of hinted at on this page that are going to be big down the road. Your hand resting on the bridge and your 4 fingers controlling the frets. So if you're a new guitar player, I beseech you, do yourself a favor and practice using your 4 fingers, covering a 4-finger span, and get used to resting on the strings. We want to control our guitar, especially if it's an electric guitar, and these are 2 of the biggest ways to do it. That brings us to the end of this segment. We'll see you in the next video. If you like what I'm doing, please click like and subscribe so I can keep on making more of this stuff. Thanks. We'll see you next time.